Yes, get people around, people meet me, they're like, oh, that's a good one we're doing. Thank you so much for your positive comments and contributions. We appreciate them. Keep them coming. Not just when you meet me in person. Go to our Facebook page, drop your comments and your contributions. Tell us what you want us to talk about. You want to see us on the streets more? We're going to be on the street very soon. Thank you for staying tuned and keeping faith with us. And at last, thank God, the cloud is smiling, the sky is smiling, we're all smiling, the ground is getting drier. We're not at least getting some rain in a couple of days for now. So, all right. So I hope you all had a very wonderful week. Well, we did, and we're hoping that today we'll be able to get along, get a few things going for us. Lots of things coming up on the show, I can assure you. This morning, when we come back after the break, we'll be talking about the inaugural speech of Nigeria's President, Muhammadu Buhari. We'll analyze a few things about it. I'll be joined by our in-house analyst and contributor, Professor Patrick Omosage. And after that, you'll see what's going to come up next. So I can assure you it's a bumper package on Dawn. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome on board. Let's go right now. We'll take our headline news, and I'll be back with you. But don't worry, we'll still bring you the headline news right here this morning. A quick review of what's happening in Africa, stories around Africa. And just before we go to the inaugural speech, I'll just want to welcome my in-house commentator and contributor, Professor Patrick Omosage. Good morning. Thank you for joining us again this beautiful morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's really, really a good day. It's going to get very hot later in the day. So
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so, and I hope you were not affected by the floodings that happened.
No, I mean, my area was pretty up north, so I mean, the rains didn't really had no damaging effects.
Effects, okay.
They ruined our golf courses, but that's fine.
Okay, like I said, we're going to be talking this morning more on examining, analyzing, breaking down, understanding some integral parts of the president's inaugural speech, yes. Nigerian president's inaugural speech. But before we do that, I've seen the trending headlines around Africa in the last 1 week. Has been stories of, the Ghana was, we had the flood disaster and the fire, with over 150 people killed in Ghana just this last week. In Nigeria, there was a tanker explosion also that killed a number of people. And, and I was just like, okay, all of these things happening around this time where it seems like we're beginning to see some ray of light, hope.
Look, one of the things about disasters, really, I mean, especially when they're not natural disasters, I mean, these are man-made disasters. I mean, when a petrol tanker explodes and that many number of people are killed, I mean, this is just, it's unfortunate, but again, it's a society in which we live. It's a real muddled up society. I mean, tankers do explode or have accidents out here, but you don't lose that many people just because there's a slight mistake. So look, I'm hoping, especially with the case of Nigeria, that the new leadership will have. I'm not saying they are going to be able to solve all the problems we have, but little things like flood, killing this many people in Ghana and all that is very disheartening. But again, it just tells us where we are. looking at our infrastructural development, it's because all this is about infrastructure. If you don't have where water is going to run through, then you're going to have problems.
So, well, if you talk about flood, we know it's not peculiar to Africa alone. You know, this just happened here in the city of Houston like 2 weeks ago, and people are still just getting out of it. But let's move that. Very important, because lives were involved. People lost loved ones. Let's move on to something we discussed about 4 weeks ago. You were right here on the show when we started with the crisis in Burundi, and we went into the trend of African leaders, the fear of relinquishing power. All right. And then right now the story out of Rwanda is that the opposition has already gone to court to be able to stop the president in against extending the term. You know, and I'm like, okay, we talked about this in Burundi. We saw the outbreak, what happened in Burundi. You know, right now we're looking at Rwanda up to the point that they have suspended the services of BBC in Rwanda. Okay, so I'm like, what's happening?
Look, it's really unfortunate because, you know, one of the things that really is in our culture is that our leaders from time immemorial are God sent. The obas, the emirs, you know, so we revere them. Now, using a democratic system is just not something we almost can, you know, like over time, because it gives you term limits.
Right.
And that is what we really fight against. It's not, I don't think most of these leaders, it's not because they think they want to cover up some, that's why they don't want to leave power. It's just they don't see themselves doing any other thing but leading the people. They start to almost put to themselves that I was put there by God. You look at every Nigerian politician. When he wins or something, he will say, this is God's doing. Don't get me wrong.
Is it not God's doing?
Yeah. Look, you know, but what he's telling is that if God put me there, why should ordinary people remove me? You know, I don't have a problem in praising your Lord, you know. But when you start using that, is that it's God that, no, people voted for you, and they will vote you out if they don't like you.
Okay.
And you cannot stay there indefinitely.
Okay,
but
so
we say those
Professor,
things for
Prof,
people to
let
be
me just
afraid.
quickly halt you there. If you're just tuning in, the show is called Dawn on MBC, and you know how we'll do it. Every Saturday morning, we'll talk about issues in Africa. We bring people to talk about these issues, shed light on them, break them down, make us understand them. And that's why I'm being joined this morning by Professor Patrick Omosage, Professor of History and Political Science. Right now, we'll take a quick break, and when we get back, it will be time for us to move into our real discussion, topic of discussion. President Muhammadu Buhari's inaugural speech. You want to be part of that of the discussion, you can always call in on the number that will be showing on your screen any moment from now, and let's talk about it. But for now, let's take a quick break. It's Dawn on MBC, and we will be back. Okay, and that's a quick review of happenings around Africa. The story is happening. It seems like every country in Africa right now is in the news. There's just something popping out, and it's interesting. I don't know how it's kept my mind. The ongoing FIFA issue and the side that Africans have been taking. You know, they've been Africans are of the opinion that Sepp Blatter should not go. He has been very good to Africans. You know, they're sympathetic towards his plight. And that's very interesting. But I know you have a lot to say about that. But that's not our point of discussion this morning.
Good.
But we'll touch on that probably next week. So let's take it now. We're actually starting off with the discussion of the inaugural speech of President Muhammadu Buhari. But for those of you who were not aware or you were not able to see it, we'll break it down in parts, in bits and pieces. But for now, let's take a quick video of the inaugural speech picked up by another TV station. Watch this and we'll be back.
De notre nation.
I, Muhammad Buhari, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God. I, Muhammad Buhari, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law, and always in the interest of the sovereignty, integrity, solidarity, well-being and prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that I will strive to preserve the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy contained in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I will not allow my personal interests.
President-elect's inaugural speech. What do you think about it as a whole, overall?
Oh boy, as a whole. Now, I think one of the things I think a lot of people were expecting was more of an inspiring speech. There was not a lot of that in there, but there were a lot of very serious nuggets that he dropped as to how he will do things, as to where he's leaning towards. I mean, so that to me was very satisfactory. I'm not going to condemn the speech. I mean, this is not a GFK speech in 1960, so where he was just a speech of inspiration. I don't think this reaches that level. But it was nonetheless a very, very serious and good speech.
Okay, so let's now go into breaking this down, okay? When I read the transcript of the speech, I saw it, like you said, it was not the very punchy, aggressive speech that people expected, because at the beginning of the whole campaign was about change, something positive, pushful, and, you know. But now, going through the speech as a whole, you know, and those are some of the highlights. I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody. That has been a very interesting phrase.
It's very catchy. I mean, those that put the speech together, and obviously with his support or with his contribution, lovely catchphrase. I mean, I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody. That, you know, basically telling us that, you know, I'm going to have a mind of my own. I'm going to be the leader. I'm not going to be led. I'm going to be the leader. So, I mean, that was nice to have that right at the top there.
And the thing about that phrase, I belong to everybody, I belong to nobody, has generated lots of comments on the social media.
A lot of cartoons.
Yes, cartoons, exactly. Pictures of former heads of states with their hands on their head saying, oh my God. You know, and doesn't this kind of put his political ambition and things in a bit of a tight corner? Because if you're looking at, okay, he's now a democratically elected president. So you have to do things with the party in accordance. So what do you think?
Well, look, you would see that one of the other things we're going to show is that he actually said so, that we now live in a he's coming under the democratic dispensation and he's going to go by the rules. He actually said that. He wrote it and he read it. You know, so those are things we can always, you know, hold on to, you know. We're not going to have to say that, you know, because during the campaign it was all about can we turn a soldier man into a democratic leader. But he has said he's going to abide by all the rules of the system. And so we have to just wait and see. We can't... I keep saying one of the problems with the Nigerian culture is that we're a little bit impatient and we're very distrustful. We don't trust him.
In the line of that impatience that you just mentioned, there are people, the opposition, okay, that's the second part what we'll be talking about, okay? But, you know, in line of that patience that you were talking about, people are already counting days for him. Oh, 6 days. We still have barrels of fuel missing every day. What are you doing? 6 days with, so, you know, you're asking the Nigerians have to be patient.
We just have to be patient and trust. Look, we elected him, trust him. It's 4 years. Let's give him the benefit that he's going to do what he said. And give him time. I mean, the Senate or the Congress was just sworn in yesterday. He can't do anything without them.
That's
so
right.
Now it's always a week after he's the president is sworn in and the Congress is sworn in. So let's see what happens after now.
Okay, so the second point for our discussion.
Look, the second point is one of the things that generated a lot of discussions right after the election when Jonathan called to congratulate him. A lot of people dismissed it. But here is Buhari going back to that, thanking Jonathan for his statesmanship and setting a precedent. Very important that he has set that. We almost cannot go back now for someone to say, I'm not going to call you because I don't think I lost and all that. If the numbers show that you have lost an election, you call the winner, congratulate him, and get ready to move your things. And so I'm very happy that Buhari went to that. That was
able to mention that, yes, because it was a significant part.
Yes, because Nigerians have had, oh, it means nothing. It's what he's supposed to do, is what, you know, I mean, Jonathan it doesn't matter that he did that and all that. But now for Buhari to mention that.
To acknowledge it.
To acknowledge it and to congratulate him for doing it and setting that precedent for the Nigerian political culture, that is great. I really liked the fact that he did that.
Okay. Now, another very important point that stood out of the whole inaugural speech was the fact that he has said that people have been expecting that probably when he assumes office, he will scrap most of the things put in place by the former administration, one of which is the okay, now he says there is a national consensus that our chosen route to national development is democracy. To achieve our objectives, we must consciously work the democratic system.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier. The democratic system, it's got a process. You know, you have an idea, you want to make a policy, it goes through the Congress. The Congress has an idea, they want to make a law, they'll pass it and send it up to you to sign it. So those are the things we're going to talk about now. Let's look at one of the things people talk about. He should arrest or probe people.
Yes.
Now, look, the EFCC can do that because
that's
their job, and they were created by law. He can't just wake up and say, I want to probe Jonathan.
We have ICPC.
Yeah, it has to go through a system. I've said that many times, but a lot of people don't seem to understand that.
One of the things he has made mention of significantly in the past couple of days is the fact that he's not here to witch hunt anybody or to run after anybody.
And it's a fair statement by him that he's not here to witch hunt anybody because it's not his job. Look, if a new minister goes into his ministry and finds out that there's a lot of problems, their audit problems and all that. He then can call in the EFCC or the police and all that, and then they can then do their job, and then they can then call the former minister to come and account. That's the way it works. That's the new process that we are in. This is not a military period where you can pick up people and make them talk. Now you have to go through a process. All these cases, if there are any, would have to go through a court system.
Okay, for those of you wondering how you can be part of this show, the show is called Dawn on MBC. It's live right here from the city of Houston. The number to call is right there on your screen, 713-340-7514. Again, 713-340-7514. And let's talk about the inaugural speech of President Muhammadu Buhari. Though some people are against it, and I have with me this morning Professor Patrick Omo-Osage, Professor of Political Science and History. And together we're analyzing this topic. We'll love your comments and contributions. We can take a couple of calls. And also, still to come on the show, we're going to be joined by Pastor Bridget Israel, and she is a senior pastor of Zion Covenant Ministries here in the city of Houston. She's here to talk about something interesting that will captivate you, that will help you move to another level in your life. So make sure you don't miss any part of the show. We'll take a quick break, and I'll be back with Professor Patrick Omo-Osage on the show. Okay, so back to you, Professor Patrick Omo-Osage. Let's go to the next point. And I was trying to make the point of... I'm sure they can put up the slide now, which is our next point of discussion. That should be number 4. But one thing that I've seen is, part of the thing, insecurity, pervasive corruption, full crisis, power shortages.
Look, without any doubt, he mentioned immediate concerns. Those are immediate concerns. We have to secure that country. If we're going to be able to do business with the outside world, people coming in must be sure that their lives are safe. So he's got to find a way to take care of that. First of all, obviously, in the Northeast, where we have all the problems. And then, look, when people talk about insecurity right now, we only think about Boko Haram. We've got to think about just even in the Southwest, where you almost cannot be on a highway at 9 o'clock at night. Now, those things have to be taken care of. There was a time in that country that I would leave my house at 11 o'clock at night and drive to Ife. And
you dare not try that again?
Yes, and I had no problems. I mean, and I'm not talking about 60 years ago. I'm talking about when I was just finished from Ife. So we've got to be able to get back to that time because those things improve commerce.
Now the question is, do you think we can actually go back to those days?
Yes, we can. Look, first of all, if we have better infrastructure, better roads and all that, things will move properly and you'll be able to secure the country. Again, I always talk about things have to be done bit by bit. It's not
and for those who are thinking that the president should have, because I've heard people raise issues like, Nigeria Airways should be reinstated. And one of the answers he has given them is that, look, we need to place our priorities right. That Nigerian Airways right now is an issue of luxury, right? There is unemployment. The refineries have to be fixed because there are many graduates of petroleum economics, engineering coming out without jobs to do. So he says, okay, this and unemployment, these are some of the things that people have raised.
Look, people should forget the idea of Nigerian Airways. We don't need it. It's not a very, very good business. Ask those that are in that business. It's not a very good business. We don't have the numbers. I mean, Nigerians might, let me say, bloviate all they want about the traveling numbers in Nigeria. They don't make for good business. I mean, we can see it from ARIC. Anybody that tries the international route, you are competing with very well established. How many of us are going to change from a United to a Nigerian Airways? It's not very, very unlikely. So, I mean, it's not a business the government should be going into. At some time, 50 years from now, when we
maybe later, when the country is a lot more
we don't need it. I don't think we need it. And how many people is it going to employ? So even if it's about creating employment, how many people is it going to employ? Very, very few. Okay. So I think we should concentrate on doing other things.
And the next one, which I saw prior to, the issue of him scrapping the plans put in place for the Niger Delta boys. People would have expected that the amnesty program in the Niger Delta should end. Okay, because he has taken over, he should do something else. But this is a president who has now said the amnesty program in Niger Delta is due to end in December. So despite the fact that he has taken over in May, he's still going to run this program till December. Why do you think this?
Look, I like the fact that he put that there, because this shows that he's a politician. He understands that he cannot come up and say he's scrapping it. The Niger Delta immediately would go ablaze. So he said it very well. We would invest, even though it ends in December. He's not saying, it was a very crafty language. He didn't say the amnesty program will continue, but he said, he tells us it will end in December, but we will reinvest. So they might come up with a different program, a different name, but they're not going to cancel it, at least not for now. It might be a gradual phase out, but he put it there. I mean, so when I saw that in the speech, I immediately went back to thinking about what a lot of people had said. You know, the amnesty program was all about satisfying Jonathan's people and all that. But I'm sure during the transition, he's looked at it, he's seen the effectiveness and all that, and that is why he put it in his speech. It's one of those things that it didn't have to be in the speech, but he put it there. He's telling the people of that side that, look, I'm still with you. Very crafty politics.
I'm the president of everybody.
Yes.
So that takes us to the first phrase of his, I belong to everybody and I'm for nobody.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take the final point of discussion this morning, the final piece, right? And he says, my fellow Nigerians, I cannot recall when Nigeria enjoyed so much goodwill abroad as now. The message I received from East and West, from powerful and small countries, are indicative of international expectations on us. I want to break this down more.
Look, Nigeria has been that country that everybody, anywhere you go around the world, everybody expects great things from Nigeria. But Nigeria has always disappointed. Always. Now, the first time we didn't disappoint was this last election. If you remember, the United States had a paper out since 5-6 years ago that said Nigeria would self-destruct in 2015.
Yes.
It did not happen. So the world is now saying, well, to me, we've gone through that first part. We had a successful election, a successful transition.
Okay.
So what else do we need? It's now the world is on our side. We're we have people that rely on us, that are looking forward to us. So again, that is what he's saying. This is a time for us to do the right thing. And I hope he's going to be able to do that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your insights and contribution this beautiful morning. As usual, we're always glad to have you. Thank you for always obliging us. And we hope you enjoyed that breakdown. It's just a quick recap, rephrase, and a better understanding of what we should expect from the Nigerian President-elect, Muhammadu Buhari. And it's very interesting. There are lots of things happening around him, even what people would have thought, but I think the opposition are already working up the story about his wife putting on a 10 million naira wristwatch, you know, and then different sites saying the same wristwatch is $129. It's just 5,000 pounds and all of those. But because of time, we'll not be able to dwell into all of this. It's pretty interesting, right? Let's take one final word from you before you go.
Look, my prayer is that the country should, I will use the word we use here, relax. He has a job to do. He asked for the job. He got it. So let's relax. Let's watch him plan. Let's watch him, put things out there before we get into a teasy and criticize or whine about, things not being done. I mean, I'll give you an example of power, the power situation. We're not going to have power constantly in the next 3, 4, 5 years. It's not going to happen. But what we want to see is that there are concrete designs to make us become a country that, power is no more an issue, maybe down the road in 10 years. That's what we've never had. Nobody has ever seen a plan. Nobody has ever seen a plan by any of our leaders that says this is what we're going to do over time. We just try to say we're doing something, and we see nothing, and nothing happens. Okay,
thank you very much for that. Well, we hope you've enjoyed that discussion. Like I told you, still to come on the show this morning, I'll be joined by Pastor Bridget Israel of the Zion Covenant Ministries. I'll be talking about a conference that is coming up in a couple of days. Why you have to be there, what does the conference have in stock for you, and what you will gain from attending this conference. Don't go anywhere. Let's take this. Okay, you're welcome back, and thanks for still being there for us this morning. What you can see with me right here, I hope you can actually see this clearly at home. It says the Zion Covenant Ministry presents Fire Conference 2015. Divine Elevation. And I have with me in the studio Pastor Bridget Israel. She is the host pastor, and she is the senior pastor of Zion Covenant Ministries. A very beautiful morning to you, Pastor Bridget.
Thank you, Sam.
You're looking radiant and bright.
Thank you, sweetie.
Okay, thanks for joining us on the show. Now let's start off. I've been to one of the fire conferences, the one last year I attended, where you had a pastor from Nigeria.
Yeah, Pastor Adefarasin.
Adefarasin, yes. And it was a wonderful time. Now, this is 2015,
yes,
and we did talk about 2015.
Yeah.
What is the crust of 2015's Fire Conference? What should people expect?
People are coming to be elevated. You know, people have been through a lot through 2011, 2012, 13, 14. But 2015 is the year of divine elevation. You will be lifted, you will be encouraged, and you will have your breakthrough.
Okay. Now, what makes the 2015 gathering different from the ones of the previous years?
There is a spiritual shift in the atmosphere, and it is a time for a Christian, a true child of God, to manifest their destiny maximally.
And the event begins, this conference begins June 11th to Sunday, June 14th, 2015.
That's right.
Time daily at 7 p.m.
Yes.
And on Sunday it's 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. in the evening.
Yes,
and we have two guest ministers this time around.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk about it. How did you choose them? What made you go for these guest ministers?
I don't just pick guests for a conference like this anyhow. I wait on the Lord. And the guest coming from Ghana, Prophet Isaac Atto, is one of God's generals in the prophetic. He's of the old school. He's not the one that will do guesswork. He hears clearly from God. He will call you by your name. He will give you the God solution concerning what you are going through. He doesn't do guesswork.
So it's more like a prophetic thing.
Thank you. And people are tired of praying without getting results. People are tired of waiting without knowing when. People are tired of going through struggles, warfare, and they don't know the source, the root, and they don't know what to do. But if somebody comes and calls you and said, okay, this is what you are going through, this is the origin of it, and this is what God said you should do, and that problem will be over. It is easy. Because what gives people the faith and the joy is knowing the unknown. You know, the things of the Spirit are spiritual, and they're spiritually discerned. So you need somebody that can download and decode the spiritual language into your clear human...
To break it down for you to understand.
That's it. So that's what makes the difference with this conference. And that's why I don't pick people at random. I wait on the Lord, and the Lord gives me. For example, Prophet Isaac Anto has never been to Houston. I met him 7 years ago. We lost contact. But when I began to ask God, who should be your voice in this conference, he said, get him. I said, Lord, I don't have any connection. I don't even know his number. And he told me, pick your pen, write this number down. And I wrote the number. And you'll be surprised, when I dialed that number, he answered. Can only be God.
That it can only be God,
Thank
right?
you.
That's so. What I've picked from what you've said this far is that with Prophet Isaac Anto, people are going to be hearing prophetic words.
That's right.
About them.
That's right.
Solutions to their problems.
That's it.
And also help them move to the next level of their life.
Very important. This man did not go to too much school. He's not very educated. But when it comes to the things of the prophetic in the spiritual realm, he commands respect. I salute him.
Now, let's talk about Dr. Reverend Greg Patrick.
Yes.
Now, what should people expect with him? And are they going to be ministering together or on separate days? How is this going to work?
Dr. Craig Patrick is a son of the soil. He opens a conference on Thursday. And he is a man of the word. He's the man of revelation, Rhema. He will explain the word. He's a teacher that he will give you the word of God with deep revelation. He is a son of the soil. And because we're in America, I want people to know that all the resources and all the gifting of God are all over the world. The world has become a global village. So you can get an American to speak the revelatory word of God with power and anointing. So he opens the conference. But from Friday to Sunday will be Prophet Isaac Anto.
Okay, right now let's take a quick break, and I will be back with Pastor Bridget to talk about if this conference is only open to people who want to hear the word, or can ministers also be part of this conference that's talking about pastors and all, and is this free or do people have to pay? Let's take this quick break and I'll be back with you, Pastor Bridget.
Thank you.
Okay, and now it says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possession. Zion Covenant Ministries presents Fire Conference 2015. So like I asked you, Pastor Bridget, for those who have just tuned in, Fire Conference begins on June 11th to Sunday, June 14th, 2015, here in the city of Houston. It's 7 p.m. daily, except on Sunday when it's 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And it's going down at 2340 Barker Oaks Drive, Houston, Texas 77077. So now let's take this. Is this conference opened, or is it designed for only members, people who are seeking God, or pastors, ministers, people in the ministry also allowed to come?
This conference is called Fire Conference because when you are a Christian or a pastor or a layman, you go through things, let's say from January, by this month, June, your energy is beginning to reduce. Just like you charge your battery, phone battery in the morning, you keep calling and calling, you didn't recharge, it will die, the battery will die. So the Fire Conference is to rekindle the fire, is to inspire us, is to impact us and empower us to keep running the race, the kingdom race.
Now, let me take you back a bit too. Why did you start the Fire Conference at all? What was the inspiration? What was the motivation for you? Was it a personal experience like you just narrated? Was it something you felt, or was it just a call from God for you to do this for the people?
When I came to this city, I noticed that there were churches, yet there was no impactation and people dragged through the year. We needed a conference that somebody out from outside can come and encourage us, can come and empower us, can come and also add to what we already have. So it is an inspiration from my spiritual father, Dr. Billy Lubanza, and Prophet Emmanuel Corey from Kafachan. But the most important reason for Fire Conference is not just for Christians to gather. It's open for the whole, because I want something that will impact the city, will bring revival, encourage those who are running the race, and bring in those who have never been to church. It is not just for church people. It is not just for denomination. It is for the whole city. And everybody is welcome. It is free. It is, open to all, and all are welcome.
You answered the next question there. People want to know, do I have to register for this? How much do I have to pay?
Yeah. I know one thing, everything in America you pay for. But when God asked me to do Fire Conference, he said, let the people come and drink out of my fountain freely. It is a very amazing thing and great when ministers come together, when we keep our denominational doctrine and come together just for one thing, kingdom. You see, let Dr. Miles Monroe preach kingdom and die preaching kingdom. It's about time we see the kingdom manifestation on earth. People are tired of hearing God did it for Joshua, God did it for Moses, God did it for Elijah. I wasn't there in those days. I am now. And the Bible says God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Why should God do it then and can't do it now? So when we come together, there's what we call corporate anointing, and God will do it now.
Okay. All right. Once again, if you've just tuned in and you missed that part of it, I'll pass this on to you. It's the Divine Elevation Fire Conference 2015, hosted by Zion Covenant Ministries here in the city of Houston. The venue for the conference is 2340 Barker Oaks Drive. Okay, I have someone calling right there. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Is this MBC?
Yes, please, good morning.
Yeah, this is Femi calling from Sugarland. How are you doing today?
We're good, thank you. How are you too?
I'm okay. Yeah, just want to contribute to what you guys are discussing about Nigeria.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Mr. Femi. We just finished that. We wrapped that up a couple of minutes ago. Right now, we're in the segment with Pastor Bridget Israel of the Zion Covenant Ministries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
I've been trying to call. The call wouldn't go through. That's okay.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I think we'll have the problem with the line. That's why I've not been able to get any call this morning. And we're actually talking. Do you have any question for Pastor Bridget Israel of Zion Covenant Ministries? They're having a conference that begins on the 11th Sunday, on the 11th Thursday to Sunday, June 14th, and it's called Divine Elevation. Do you have any question for her on that?
Well, all I can say is let them keep doing the word of God, and Nigeria need prayer, and
so does the whole world.
We just need to keep praying.
Okay.
Brother Femi, we are praying. In fact, we have a program that is finishing on Wednesday called Let God Arise. We've been praying every evening from 7 to 9, and Zion is based on prayer. We pray every midnight. You know, Jesus started with prayer, ended with prayer, seated on the right hand of God, interceding for us. We will continue to pray. I will not stop praying till Jesus come, until we see Nigeria and Africa and the world be a peaceful place. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi, and do have a great Saturday. All right, so wow, you just heard that you're invited. She's extending a special invitation to you, Mr. Femi, to be part of this. Once again, it's coming up Thursday, June 11th to Sunday, June 14th. Just before we wrap up, Pastor Bridget, yes, what do you have to say to the people that we haven't touched on this morning?
Everyone in Houston, I want to tell them, number one, don't give up hope. Number two, where man cannot help you, God will. And take off your trust from man and put on God. And this conference is for you. I don't know what you're going through with your family. I don't know what you're going through in your business, in your career, in your marriage, in your finances. But there is a word of God. One word from God will change your situation. Come and be blessed. Come and receive. Bring your loved one. At the end of this conference, you will surely say, now I know there is a God who answers prayer and that he loves you.
All right, you've heard it from her, and that's, they say, from the horse's mouth. So you've heard it from the horse's mouth directly. There is nowhere else for you to be than at Zion Covenant Ministries between Thursday, June 11 and Sunday, June 14. Right, this coming Thursday.
Yes.
So prepare yourself, prepare your mind, get ready to receive, get ready to hear from the throne, and get ready to hear words that will transform your life. Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Bridget, for joining us this morning, and we do wish you a very successful conference. We hope after the conference we'll be able to sit down and just look and say, okay, what really went down at the conference with you?
You will have a lot to talk about, and everybody's invited, and I want to let you know that you're doing a great and fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
God bless you for being a voice.
Thank you so much.
Inviting
I
us.
appreciate it. Well, we'll have to call it a day this beautiful Saturday morning, and we hope you've enjoyed every beat of the show. We brought our guest. Big thanks to Professor Patrick Omosage, who is on his way now, for joining us this morning. Thank you, Mr. Femi, for calling. You know, you tried consistently, and that's why they say persistence pays. Thank you for joining us on the show, and a big thank you also to Pastor Bridget Israel, members of Zion Covenant Ministries, and we wish you a very successful one. Don't forget, next week promises to be interesting. I'm going to be right here with someone who has been around Houston, around the United States. He's a Nigerian who is doing very well for himself. He is a household name. You're wondering who my guest next week will be? He's someone that will interest you. So make sure you don't miss the show. Check us out as Segun Gele joins us next week live on the show. Prepare all your questions, write the number down, and start trying ahead of time. Okay? So we'll hope to catch you then. Until then, do have a very beautiful Saturday. Bye-bye.
Since MBC has been at your service, our clients have told us their businesses have been booming, and we found out too. What are you doing about your business? Do you want more clients? Do you want more people to know about the services that you do provide? Do you have a luncheon coming? What about your premieres? Call MBC. Advertise your birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, church program, or request our coverage at your function. MBC, at your service 24/7. Call 832-887-6452 or call 281-888-9502. MBC, your favorite station, sharing African views.